Welcome to the Department of Drift. We have had a massive holiday, myself, J Mac, and DJ Laubscher. It's good to be back, isn't it?
Oh, it feels great. It's back in the hot seat, but in a different location of all places.
It's nice. It's relaxed. We decided that we've got a bit of a new gear, new setup, so we're going to test out our capabilities, and we're going to do it on the couch with some pizza and some beers, and just chill out. Yeah, it is. Yeah, you got to reach.
Damn, you suck.
But basically, this is a bit of a wrap-up, a wrap-up show that basically we've got a whole bunch of drift events that have happened in the recent history. It was huge. Drift Games Extreme from Ireland. We had the D1NZ final round for them. We had the second round for Formula Drift. That happened in Orlando. It's just been hectic, and there's been a few announcements, stuff like Drift Masters going to the Bend in 2019. So there's that. We've got massive announcements from D1WA, and of course we've got Drift West that are getting set for another round coming up in the near future. Yeah, so it's all happening. It's all coming close. So I guess with no further ado, let's get into it.
Yeah, get stuck into it. Yes, I mean, as you're saying, we've had, Drift Games Extreme, the now renamed IDC, effectively. I mean, I think in between that, it's somewhere we actually had BDC, I think some form of the BDC as well, which was a bit of a mix with, being that's been sold off. But, DGX threw a whole new layout at us, which seemed to be, somewhat tricky for some of the drivers.
Yeah, so that was Mondello Park, and it was a massive high-speed entry in a clip, going around a right-hander into a decel zone. Yeah. It's basically straight into a decel zone and out a clip
fast as you can
on the wall.
Yeah.
For a left-hander. It was interesting.
Yeah, it definitely separated the experienced guys from the guys that are still getting a feel for the cars, and with DGX, you can sort of see what they've done with presentation.
Yep.
And a lot of guys have built some amazing machines for this season. Compared to IDC, to what this was, it's, day and night difference between the two. So, but yeah, that slow-up zone, I think it caught a few drivers out.
Yeah, it did. There was a bit of contact in that first corner. So, a lot of guys relying on some massaged steering geometry in a lot of instances.
Yep.
So there's varying schools of thought on sort of how people feel about that.
Yeah,
but, I mean, it is what it is.
It's definitely an issue. I mean, you look at Lee Scott as one of the drivers. I mean, he's a driver I've followed for a long time, which I enjoy following because he's a freak.
Yeah.
And on entry, pretty much destroyed his whole right rear end.
Yeah.
Chase car was in the wrong position, and just because he was slowing up, Chase car wasn't really prepared for it, and it ended up going wrong.
I guess it's always going to be one of those cases where, as the chase driver, it's up to you to be in the right place at the right time, and the lead driver not has right away. That's something we'll get into a little later. But it's theirs to lose by running the wrong line or anything like that. It didn't look like that was the case. In this instance. And
if you the hard thing as a chase car though, if you fall asleep on the line, or you read the lead car as slowing up and they're not, they just taking a dab of speed and then getting back on it, you can get left behind pretty damn quick. And that, I've seen that. That's pretty much, as most people say, in some cases, the battle's won and lost on the entry.
Yeah.
And the way they had the entry set up definitely, in some instances, prove that.
Well, I know that we were talking to Brent Peters, and he says that he puts so much emphasis on that initiation, on that first corner.
Yeah. It's one of those things. It's where, you can get the spectacular moments where, you can do a massive dive on a car, get super close, hold a corner, and then just sit the whole way from there.
Yeah. Well, things didn't go to plan for a couple of guys in the top 8. Shanahan in that new GT86, Jack Shanahan.
Yep.
Now, that's a 2J power plant in that thing, isn't it?
Yeah, as far as I'm aware, 2J, dog box, all the fruit, Winter's rear end.
Yep.
Built by himself as well.
Yeah.
So he
Do
pretty
you think
much,
that might have had something to do? No,
Maybe.
we're not going to throw stones in that way. But I mean, yeah, he bowed out in the top 8 stage of the day, just due to mechanical failure.
Yeah, literally just pulled off the track, went straight into the pits.
Yeah.
Did the entry, something went on.
Yeah, he did.
Yep, something went wrong on the entry. The car just seemed to stall up on him. And yeah, just decided, no, exit stage right, went back to the pits.
Yeah.
And we never heard anything from it since.
Which is disappointing.
Yeah.
I mean, the Shanahans have become a household name.
Oh, without a doubt.
Yeah.
I mean, both of them, they both drive like madmen, and then you see, the dad, I always forget his name, but, someone's car breaks, they changing their own tyres, and he's out helping the other guys. He's in every guy's pit bay.
Almost sounds like another Viersma.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, it's very similar, It's always happy to help out. So it was sad to see, and I would have loved to have known exactly what happened, but... sometimes you can, sometimes you can't.
So getting to the pointy end, top 4. Now, this was really cool. 4 drivers who had never made it to that sort of level in the competition before.
Yeah, I mean, you had Alan Hines, Mark McBurney, Lee Scott, and Ryan Caldwell.
Yeah.
And to think the whole field was under the age of 30.
Yeah.
Which is surprising. And I mean, Alan Hines, a lot of people will know him as the Pro Drift Academy driver.
Yep.
So he runs the Virtual Drift Series.
Okay.
So they basically got it's run through Assetto Corsa, so
Yep.
a lot of the racing sim. And yeah, he had a bit of a. I actually watched a video of his before DGX saying he replicated that layout a little bit on the Mondello track he's got, and he goes, even in that it was tricky to do.
I think that's an interesting school of thought. A little bit of a tangent here, but I know that I think it was Damien Cook, one of the High-Tech Oils Drift entrants. He is looking to try and get some practice in for World Time Attack.
Yep.
Now, there's stories that they're going to shift things up a little bit, and they're going to run it on a different section of the course.
Yep.
At Sydney Motorsport Park, and he's slightly. It might be rumours, it might be facts, it could be a little bit from column A, column B, but he's looking for someone to help him possibly suss out a layout that he can practice. In a sim of some description.
Yeah, be super good doing Assetto. It's not hard.
Man, well, I mean, Assetto would have to be the place to do something like that, wouldn't it?
Yeah, no, it definitely is. And the beauty is you can do the map editor.
Yeah.
So you can literally take an image of the racetrack on Google Earth, import it into the map editor, alter the terrain to suit.
Yep.
And you've pretty much, in a basic sense, have a layout of a track.
Yep. So you throw your cones in, they act like cones when you hit them, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, so you can put it all in. It takes a little bit of effort to learn, but once you've learnt it, it's it's simple.
Yeah,
You can, I'm sort of considering doing something of that, like for doing stuff on the infield, and just playing around with general ideas and that sort of stuff as well. So
would make it interesting too. I mean, we've seen some of the top-down graphics for like layout descriptions to help our judges.
Yep.
In D1WA, actually described to the entrance what they're trying to look for, where the car needs to be, speed, positioning, angle, stuff like that.
Yeah.
But if you can go to the same lengths that I guess that's what Drift Games Extreme did, and they did their whole thing. It looked like it was a Assetto.
Yeah. So effectively, and I think Alan Hines is the one that actually does it for them.
Yeah.
So where they take the IDC, you saw it quite prevalent. When they showed you the demo of the layout, I don't think they did it this time around, but I think he kept doing it as practice.
Yeah, well, you'd be mad not to.
Yeah, exactly.
As soon as you've got that layout, because I mean, this is one thing, is that it's a bit of a gentleman's agreement that you're not going to go and test on that
track,
test on that layout and do that kind of thing before the event.
Yeah, because it makes it an even playing field.
Essentially, yeah. But I mean, it's no one said anything about doing it online.
On virtual.
No one said anything about doing it on your computer or your simulator. Screw it. Why not? Also, shout outs to John Dreyer rocking his Rising Sun, his Bluebird. This is such a cool shirt, man. Get a load of that. This thing is mint.
That is a killer car. And have you seen the backstory video with that?
The backstory. All I know is that
he got written off, and then him and a bunch. I'm pretty sure it was him and then a bunch of him and I think 4 or 5 mates. Like he was all like down about it. They apparently like smashed this whole car together in like a stupid time frame, as drifters do.
Yeah,
and got him back out there again.
Mad.
But yeah, I'll try and find it. I'll link it. I'll link it in potentially in this episode. I'll put a link in somewhere, like the description box.
It's a super cool shirt. You need to get in touch with him through his Facebook page and see if you can get your hands on one. I think I've got to be one of the only people in WA that's got one.
Yeah, more than likely.
Yeah, that's very cool.
I've always digged the car though. It's a killer little thing.
It is mad. So I guess we sort of move on, getting back to Drift Games Extreme, the live stream. Top 4.
Yep.
All right. So the first battle, we had, just checking notes here, Ryan Caldwell and Alan Hines.
Yep.
It was tough. It was everyone was firing out of the gate.
Yeah.
Really strong, really early, and there was a couple of errors there, especially in the second part. Hines was actually, I believe, Hines was in the lead for this part, and Caldwell. No, sorry, if I read it properly, Hines had good speed through the first portion of the run, but then a late error, 3 wheels off course. It's never going to really work for you. But I think errors on both drivers' parts pushed into one more time, and we saw between the top 4 battle, the commencement of the top 4 battle through to the finish of the finals, we saw 3 one more times.
Yeah, which is crazy.
It's got its ups and downs. We'll touch on that a little bit later. But I mean, one more time, and ultimately, just double checking. Yeah, Hines take the win out of that and moved on to the final.
Yeah.
What did you sort of think when you were seeing that sort of unfold? Because we sat down in my lounge room and we watched Drift Games Extreme, D1NZ, and then FD, all in the one sitting.
Yeah, literally, it was a driftception.
It was huge.
Yeah, but the battle was interesting. I mean, you had Caldwell behind Hines on the entry, so they did the entry. Hines was on the clipping points where it needed to be. The quick switch on the before you go into the sort of the U-turn hairpin deal they got going on. Just before that, Caldwell actually straightens behind him. Yeah, and at that point, I thought to myself, well, Hines has got this. But then Hines did a clean run right the way to the last corner. Yeah, and came in a bit too hot, and like you say, put 3 wheels off. It turned scrappy.
Yeah,
in a way,
a few battles worked out like that. Yeah, not just here in the top 4, but I think the final was scrappy too. Yeah, and so it was kind of like who strung the best run together almost. It wasn't this driver was a standout. It was he strung the better run together. But again, at that point, I mean, touching on the finals, Mark McBurney's car was misfiring. Yeah, you could hear it. Yeah, he was he sounded like an A86 driver trying to drift a big track. It was just clutch kick the whole time. Just wide ass central.
Yeah. And then Hines, on the other hand, was fighting a power steering issue. Yep. So that also made the run somewhat scrappy. I mean, on that with the entry, throwing the big entry that he did, try to pull up and just couldn't get the wheels off lock stop. Yeah, just not enough assistance. Yeah, so I mean, in the second part after the one more time, Hines was leading it, and Caldwell just came in way too hot. Yeah, and smacked it with thinking he broke a tie rod or something, and it turns out that was the case. It was the power steering.
Yeah. So then we sort of move on to the next part of the top 4, McBurney and Scott. It was interesting. Scott had really good proximity in the chase. And this is where the steering geometry comes in. But I mean, McBurney saved himself.
Yeah, he did. Without a doubt.
It was massive lock, and the speed came right down.
Massive. Like it was a. Yeah, had he not had the lock he did, he wouldn't have pulled out of that. Yeah, that was a literal stall.
But this is the thing. I mean, well, yeah, we were talking about this on the night, and it's a massive slow up. Yeah, it makes it tough for your chase driver to operate around that. But that's their job. Yeah. That's what they have to do.
They got to be mentally prepared for it, Yeah. It's doing like you say. Yeah. It's brutal on a car as well. You slow up like that. If you're in a car like Lee Scott, that thing's got a bit of lag. You're pretty much doing some big what-does to get the tyres back up again. Yeah.
So, McBurney slowed right up and then got back on it, and Scott fell away. Yep. Just couldn't keep up from him after that. It's, the second part of that, I mean, neither of them was spectacular. Nah. But it was it was enough to get him by, but that went to it one more time as well. Yeah.
And I think that went to one more time, not so much on merit, but that was more on just they couldn't decide who had the least amount of mistakes.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, there's one more times that come about when drivers are equally amazing
Yep.
and judges just can't pick it.
And the crowd just wants to see more.
Well, yeah, and that's where one more time is fantastic.
Yeah.
That's where one more time is the best possible outcome
Yep.
When it comes to crowd entertainment.
Yep.
But then you've got the complete inverse of that, where both drivers are making mistakes left, right, and centre. They're slowing right up. They're not
Straight
hitting
lining.
their clips. They're straight lining, but they're both doing it in such equal measure that the judges can't judge a better driver.
Yeah.
Because they're both equally shit. Now, that is not to say that this is the case with these guys. That's something that you do see
A general
in other,
statement.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it is a very broad general statement. So don't go reading into that too much. But if you do want to get upset, send us an email.
Yep.
info.deptofdrift@gmail.com. All right.
We promise we'll read it.
Yeah. Have you been reading that? You haven't? No. There's like 60 billion emails.
Oh, wow. God damn it.
None of them from our viewers.
So email us, people. Come on. We'll read them out.
Yeah, well, why not? So we went to a one more time. First part, real scrappy run, both of those guys. And then straight into turn 2 for McBurney. We thought that Lee Scott had been robbed.
Yeah,
With that one?
I felt it 100%. Especially on the one more time, Lee Scott, he knew what he did wrong.
Yeah.
And he corrected it.
Yeah.
And he was a little more hesitant on the entry.
Yeah.
In comparison to the previous run, but given that what McBurney did, it was kind of he was preparing for it, which most drivers would do.
Yeah.
But I definitely felt that he was robbed. I think even McBurney touched on it briefly watching the DGX live stream that they do.
Right.
There was some jokes thrown around with Nathan Black and him of
Don't touch me.
You guys have to go and watch that. Alan Hines, his interview, Nathan Black walks up to him and he's like, "Yeah, don't touch me."
Grabs him on the shoulder and he
Yeah.
like punches him in the shoulder or something.
And then he's like, "Don't touch me."
And Hines is like, "Don't touch me. Don't touch me again."
The funniest reaction of a driver I've ever seen.
I thought he was legit. I
Yeah.
thought he was serious. I was like, thought he had something like, okay, you
like,
can come
go
stand next
away.
to me, but don't touch me. You touch me, I will knock your teeth in.
That's what it literally sounded like. Go and watch it. But yeah, they were throwing words back and forth, just sort of taking the mickey with regards to it being a controversial thing. But I guess that's the nature of drift, though. I mean, people are always going to think you're robbed. It's just the difference is from what we could see to what the judges could see to what the commentators could see.
It was all different.
So
the judges were watching it live, essentially.
Yeah.
The commentators, and it's a bit of a throwback because what, as a commentator, you're trying to do is you're trying to make the experience as seamless for the people watching on a screen at home.
Yeah.
So you watch from a screen at home, or you watch from a screen in a box.
Yeah.
And you call the action from the screen.
Yeah.
And you'll almost get tunnel vision. You'll start ignoring what's going on outside until something happens on screen and all of a sudden you look up around your monitor and you'll be like, oh, okay, there's a 5-minute rule happening in the pits.
Yeah.
Let's go back to the action on track. Let's switch back to the pits, stuff like that. Yeah. So you only see what the producer shows you at times. And you can miss stuff. Or you can get a different context. You can get a different view. You'll see things that the judges might not. The cameras will see things that the judges might not, where the judges are watching it live.
Yeah, and that's the thing. You can miss some of the crucial things that the cameras give you access to.
Yeah.
So and it's unfortunate, but yeah, it's the nature.
Well, I think it's just the nature of drifting.
It's a judge sport. I mean, it's one of those things. But that's why it keeps it so diverse as well.
Yeah. So the final was McBurney won that battle there.
It went through
against Lee Scott, and the final was between McBurney and Hines, and it was tough because McBurney led Hines out, and Hines was battling.
Yeah.
Shush. Hines was battling with power steering.
Yeah. Yep. So
he was not having a good time.
Yep. He was having all sorts of weird issues with with trying to keep the car sort of on angle, but then also to keep some pace.
Yeah.
But then I think McBurney straightened on one of the turns as well. Mm-hmm. Due to him having misfiring issues.
Yeah.
And like I said,
Hines drove away on him in the second part of that battle, which went to a one more time. The final. So, I mean, if the crowd weren't amped enough already, they pumped up. Like that was at the stage where it was really tough. The only thing was that by that stage, the two announcers had Dave Egan, one of them, they'd run out of puff.
Yeah.
It is so tough. I mean, it was 2 days of drifting. They were at the end of the road and just ran out of steam.
Yeah,
it's hard.
I take my hat off to commentators. I mean,
Yeah.
like yourself, it's definitely. I mean, I used to do shoutcasting for gaming.
Yeah.
So if you're like Counter-Strike and that sort of thing, and even that was difficult, you know.
Yeah.
But that you had the ability to put the camera where you wanted to put it at any given time.
Yeah.
You know, you could then just run an ad or, you know, just put a screen overlay up and then you can go quiet.
Yeah.
Well, in your case, you can't.
No.
You know, it's a live event. There's people watching in the crowd.
Yeah.
So
I mean, that went to one more time, and the battle that followed after that, there were mistakes for everybody.
wheels off. And,
that was a case of it was scrappy, and the judges really had their work cut out for them to try and find.
Yeah, the judges were trying to. Who did the most mistakes?
Yeah.
You know, it was literally where it ended up. But I mean, all in all, the runs were they were okay. You know, to a normal person or a bystander that was watching just for the excitement.
Yeah.
There was some exciting parts.
Oh, hell yeah.
Without a doubt. But on a technicality level,
Yeah.
yeah.
So
some
the
weird
upshot
mistakes.
out of all of that was Alan Hines took out Drift Games Extreme. We had Mark McBurn in second place and Ryan Caldwell in third. So that was Drift Games Extreme. What did we sort of take away? What did you take away from that particular round? What did you think?
It's good to see that there's not the same people that are winning.
Well, yeah, like we say, we had 4 new drivers that had never made it to the top 4 before.
Yeah, I mean that was probably my biggest takeaway from that was that, and the fact that Lee Scott, Ryan Caldwell, both were IDAC or IDC amateurs.
Yep.
Ryan Caldwell kept winning. Lee Scott also kept winning. It's, you know, these guys were given an opportunity. Lee Scott, I think, was in Pro-Am the previous year.
Yep.
The year before, and then was given an opportunity, and then you know he's run with it last season, and again, so big things to come from him, I'm sure.
And comments on the layout? Wasn't for everyone.
Nah, I would love to run it.
What it did do is it highlighted some deficiencies that you had to be able to do certain things. To make that layout work for you and be fluid and smooth.
Yeah.
You had to have some. I mean, we saw lock really helped.
Yeah, lock helped
In instances,
big time.
and more so than it might on a different layout.
Yeah.
A lot of people will say Wisefab is cheating, blah 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 blah. I'm not interested in that. I couldn't give two shits about it because it's here. It's not going anywhere, and it does some incredible things to cars, and people do some incredible things with Wisefab equipped cars.
100%.
It's the way it is.
You always, just on that, you'll also hear me give people shit about Wisefab. I'm kidding. It's the same thing with the whole LS thing.
He's backing out now.
No, I'm not backing out. I know some people can take it the wrong way with that sort of stuff because they can afford it, so they'll buy it. But then people,
Why the hell wouldn't you though?
Yeah, that's the thing. You know, and people will bag them out, but people will do it in a vindictive nature.
Yeah.
You know, if I ever give you shit about Wisefab, I'm kidding.
That's DJ's little disclaimer here.
Yeah, because I've had
trying to maintain his good guy image.
Just on the other side of that. My car gets mistaken for Wisefab all the fucking time.
Yeah.
And it shits me. I'm cut and shut.
Yeah. Cut and shut gang for life. Yo.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it was an interesting round. The stream when the action was good on track, the stream was great. Commentators were upbeat. I think I spotted one mistake that kind of threw us for a 6. It was in the top 4. They mixed up the graphics for the lead and the chase car.
I was waiting for that
and
to
for
come
someone
up.
that's not as familiar,
Yep.
let's face it, as I probably should be, and not as familiar with the series and the drivers and everything.
Not even in your case. This was Eddie Power that got it mixed up.
Yeah, actually, the commentator got it mixed up too.
The commentator got it mixed up. So it wasn't, to not
Well, that's the
knowing
thing.
all
He took the
car.
visual cue from the graphics on screen.
Yeah.
And it's like a live stream has so many different levels that all need to work nicely together to create the finished product and feed into your smartphone or your telecommunications device. And as soon as something goes wrong, it's kind of like a domino effect. Everything else has the potential to go wrong. So
Yep.
I think it was good. The one thing that I wasn't particularly impressed with was the lack of downtime entertainment.
Yep.
Which we'll go into in just a sec. I was watching the Drift Games Extreme live stream with you.
Yep.
And made mention of the rule that we have with Drift West,
Yep.
the no one more times rule. Now, that changes when you get to top 8.
Yep.
And I think, well, what I did, I put a post up, and I'll read it verbatim. It says, rewatching the Drift Games Extreme stream makes me happy Drift West has a no one more time policy. 3 one more times in the top 4 battles. Rolling eyes emoji. All right. Now, it had slipped my mind that we have actually seen one more times inside the top 8.
Yep.
Okay. But I hasten to add that was on the end of a 2-day event where we hadn't seen any.
Yeah.
We hadn't seen any. I think we only saw 1 or 2.
Yeah.
We only saw the one.
Yeah, it was actually
at Battlefest.
It was
Adam Monk and Luke Vizma.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's where I was coming from. Now, my argument for that, especially in the case of a live stream, is that it can be so difficult to maintain the pace and the entertainment factor and the keep the story going when you go to a one more time, especially when you're at the pointy end where you've only got 4 cars left.
Yep.
And you don't have stacks and stacks of cars lined up in the pits to come out, do demos, stuff like that.
Yeah,
or other battles, rather.
Yeah.
Before we even get to that sort of downtime entertainment. You don't have that. You can't just send 2 cars back out and know that you've got 5 battles lined up, ready to come out, keep the action flowing while they get reset, refuel, new tyres, and come back out.
Yeah.
And I was actually really, really pleased. It was on my own personal Facebook page, and what I was halfway expecting was a massive shit fight.
Yep.
It was a massive shit fight. And while people aired their opinions, it was actually a really constructive discussion as such, which in the world of social media is amazing.
Yeah. Amazeballs.
It was crazy. Like it was mad. We had a couple of people weigh in. Shawnee Brooks.
Yep.
Mitch Lana definitely had a lot to say on the matter. And it was all very pertinent. It was all valid stuff.
Yeah.
So where the distinction between their point of view as drivers and mine is that I'm looking at it from a broadcast and a commentary and an entertainment perspective.
Yeah.
So I'm wanting
public
to
figure
keep
side.
I'm wanting to keep the audience involved, intrigued, entertained, on the edge of their seat as such. And it's really hard to do that when you send the cars off track.
Yeah.
To go and do something to get back, and you've got that downtime.
Yeah, it's and that's where I take my hat off to a lot of people that can, string a session together to keep it entertaining while there is downtime. I mean, it's as a brief example to touch on is in FD, they run hot pits.
Yeah,
they don't go back to their trailers and their trucks where they were parked. They're literally just off camera on the side
You'll have a
of the truck.
tyre rack with a compressor, jacks.
Compressor, the lot.
Yeah.
And that's your own team to sort that out. So
essentially like what we'd see in the V8 supercars or something
pretty
like
much,
that.
yeah. And they've got 5 minutes.
Yep.
Literally, if they're not out there in 5 minutes, that's it. Their run's finished.
Yeah.
They'll carry on.
They'll have a tool cabinet and basically
tool
that's
cabinet
it.
a lot. So, and that's where that professionalism ladder will climb in a lot of spaces. But
so the flip side to what I was sort of saying, and was as a competition driver, the last thing that you want is to be robbed of a win.
Please God.
Robbed of a win based on a hastily made decision.
Yeah.
And that makes perfect sense. If that's if that's the alternative, you'd rather have 3 one more times all in a row.
Yep.
One after the other. If it means that you arrive at a decision based on the merits of your battle. And not because some producers in your judge's ear saying, we got to wrap this up.
Yeah.
You're not allowed to go to one more time. You have to make a decision. Because it's when you're under pressure like that, judges can make mistakes.
Yeah, 100%. There's one battle I've got to show you that I think will drive you climbing, will have you climbing walls.
Yeah.
Andy Gray, Mad Mike.
Yeah.
It was Higashi. I think it was Higashi. No, it's not Higashi. I forget the course name, but 7 times.
Wow, in a row.
7 times.
Yeah.
The 7th time, Mad Mike drove over Andy Gray's car because he couldn't get any closer.
Yeah.
The judges were like, no, one more time.
Basically
one more time.
climbed in the door.
Yeah.
Now, it's an interesting sort of position to be in.
Yeah.
Because that's at a stage where you've got 2 incredible top flight drivers that are just going at it, hammer and tong. They are matching each other pound for pound. And that's when a one more time is the perfect solution, because I think it was Chanel Layla that actually pointed this out. The one more times can actually be an opportunity or a mechanism to generate hype.
Yeah, that's true.
Because you've seen these drivers come out, they've been so closely matched, they now have another opportunity to step it up, to ratchet it up to the next level. And I hadn't thought about that.
Yep.
That was really well put. That actually made me stop and think and go, okay, that is a definite upside to this.
Yeah. So there's you've got your good and your bad side to it.
It doesn't necessarily take away from the fact that there is dead track.
Yeah.
So that was something that I think everyone pretty much agreed on, is that downtime entertainment is a must.
Yeah.
You have to be able to do it. And we saw D1NZ, they were doing some corporate ride type stuff.
Yeah.
They were taking passengers, bits and pieces like that.
Yeah.
Even something like that, that's cool. Something's going on track.
There's smoke, there's noise,
Yep.
there's, you're not just going, oh, the tarmac's looking good today.
Yeah, you don't. The worst thing that you can do, and I've been drilled on this so many times, the worst thing you can do with a broadcast is go to a wide shot of an empty track.
Yep.
And have 2 announcers that are just struggling to find something to say. And by the stage that we got to these 3 one more times in the top 4 in the final, these guys on the Drift Games Extreme live stream had run their course. They had given their
out,
all.
yeah.
They were just done.
They were out. And then the hype had gone.
It was hard.
Yeah.
It was hard. And I've been in that situation. I take my hat off to them. To be able to do what they do is incredible. I can only dream of hopefully being able to match it one day. But I mean, that's where you bring in a stunt bike rider or someone to throw some nuts out. You send Nathan Black into the crowd and go and catch up with some bros that are out there.
And get told not to touch people.
That's his hot girlfriend or something. Yeah. Yeah, that was a bit rude. That was a bit Larry, that thing. That was
that stuck with me. I left here driving home, and I'm sitting there going, was that legit or was that a piss take? I watched it back again, and I think it was serious.
Yeah.
I originally thought it was just like, he was taking the mickey, because a lot of drivers do that to him.
Yeah.
As taking the piss. But
the don't touch me thing?
Yeah.
I thought you were talking about the red jacket.
No,
that's definitely a piss take. Nah.
But no, and then, I watched that back, and like the look in his face was like...
It's like, I'll talk to you, but don't touch me.
Yeah, it was literally like, just go away.
Yeah.
It was,
it was really good to actually hear what drivers had to say.
Yeah.
Because I can talk till I'm blue in the face about what it's like to be an announcer, a promoter, or someone on the broadcast side of things.
Yeah.
There was one comment that got made that by Andrew Cahill.
Yep.
And I'm not afraid to call people out on this, because it was all part of the conversation. It was all part of the discussion. That an MC or the announcer is supposed to fill that. That's right up to a certain extent.
Yeah.
That's right up to a certain point.
To a point until...
An announcer is supposed to enhance the entertainment factor.
Yeah.
They're not necessarily supposed to be
They're not a producer.
the entertainment. I mean...
Yeah. They're not a producer.
Well, no, in the sense that the announcer is supposed to pump up the on-track stuff, the stuff that is going ahead, the stuff that is going on. Yeah, we can run ads. We can talk about the upcoming battle, stuff like that.
Yeah.
We can definitely do that kind of thing.
Yeah. Throw a motorbike out on track.
Yeah, and what you will find is that an announcer who's worth his salt will come to the fore in that instance, and they will make that whatever's going on track look and sound amazing, like it's the best thing ever.
Yeah.
So that's their job, is to make what's going on incredible. All in all, I'm really impressed with the people that weighed in on that with how they conducted themselves and the points they made. That was all real pertinent stuff.
Yeah,
Mitch Lana, with his experience overseas, definitely had a lot to say on the subject, and he was right.
Yeah.
He was right.
Yeah, and then and that's the thing I appreciate with people, especially with the likes of Mitch. With he's got the experience, and I actually read that part of it. For some reason, I kept thinking the post was on JMac's JMac Media page, but yeah, I read that part and I was like, wow, that was well put together. It was. You could see.
I might share it across to the Department of Drift page.
Yeah, you could see there was thought put into it.
Yeah,
in that whole the way you articulated it, and it's made a lot of sense. It was good.
So one more times, amazing for close tight battles.
Yep.
Has downsides, but not downsides that can't be overcome.
Filled, yeah.
So that was the takeaway that I got from that.
Fair enough, and it's I mean, just one last sort of thing on that is. Get motorbikes or something on the track.
Motorbikes or hot chicks. Or,
as we talked off air was...
Get a show and shine happening.
Yeah.
Like they've done that before.
Yeah, off mic as well was D1NZ. I mean, I'm going back now to 2006, 2007 when I started watching drifting. And they used to have... they'd have the crusty demons of NZ.
Freestyle motocross and drifting goes hand in hand.
And they'd have the boys running around the pits with no front wheels. They were doing flips on a ramp.
That sounds like an insurer's nightmare.
But these guys were they were well prepped for it, and it's they wore
this wasn't their first
kit,
rodeo,
and they wore the full kit as well.
Yeah.
And then they were doing flips and that sort of thing. When you get one of those boys to just pop out of the pits with no front wheel on and just do circles of the track, and wait for them to fall,
or something to happen, or they come out, bust a couple of backflips. Freestyle motocross. I think there is a lot to be said for freestyle motocross at events.
Yeah,
kids love it. Adults think it's awesome.
Yep.
There's no downside.
Yep.
There's no downside. Okay. The downside is maybe someone doesn't land that 70-footer or something, and there's some pretty lasting consequences. That sounds like a them problem.
Yeah.
Yes. I reckon my life has gotten so much simpler since I got taught that phrase.
It sounds like
really gives you a good way to delineate sort of what you need to worry about and stuff that is other people's responsibility.
Sounds like a you
It's
problem.
like someone's complaining that they're cold. I'm like, that sounds like a you problem.
Don't bring your problems my way.
No. So, I think definitely some good positives to sort of be taken away from that. And I consider myself educated a bit more after that, which was cool. D1NZ, the final round.
Oh, mate. Yeah, that again was... I've sort of been following that where I can, because every time that the events were on the live stream, I was always ended up at the house, out of the house, or at the track. But yeah, that was something else. I mean, the likes of Cole Armstrong, who was the current champion, but had issues all throughout the season. I mean, he blew up motor twice, 2 engines in that the not so pretty Skyline, in quotes.
Skyline.
Yep, Skylad. He blew up 2 motors in that.
It's a G35.
And it's just, as most people would have seen, his teammate Darren Kelly ended up taking it out. But it's
hard to picture those guys as teammates, just considering how vastly different the liveries are.
Yeah, but are they teammates? Like actual,
legit. Yeah.
But when you sit them together, it makes sense why they're teammates.
Yeah.
The cars are. I mean, the cars are day and night as well.
Oh yeah.
35 and a G35, like.
Okay, now that might start to make a little bit more sense.
Yeah. So, but the on track action was killer. I mean, from watching, I sat and watched the qualifying before I actually had to go out. Man, Cole Armstrong threw down. Yeah. Holy shit is all I can say. Yeah. Like, everyone's like, Cole's probably just going to come out, do a mid-pack run. Because he's had a pretty junk season. TQ'd. Yeah. Top qualified. But the run that he did was... Yes. Yeah, the Manawatu circuit was... Am I saying that right? It's, Manfield, and then they've got something extra on the end of it. But okay. But yeah, it's... I can't remember what the rest of it... That's Manawatu. What's that? It's like Vanuatu, but not. That's so it's at Manfield, Yeah, so it's Manfield Circuit Chris Amos. Yeah. Chris Amos? Yeah, Chris Amos. Chris Amon. Oh, Amon, sorry. Yeah. My apologies. Yeah, right. What's the Chris Amon bit? I think it's just the person who the track's named after. Oh, okay. Yeah, cool. Yeah, I know there's some tie there, but I can't remember. Yeah, Manawatu. All right. So before we get into results, what did you think of the layout? Really long lead up into that first initiation, wasn't there? It was. Yeah, it was an interesting run up. I mean, they drive out, and you're sort of like, are they driving? Are they drifting? What? But then you see the 1, 2, 3 cones, and it was interesting because of the fact that it was a on-speed entry. It wasn't a start 3, 2, 1 go. It was a
roll like almost like a GT start.
Yeah, it was
like you leave the line
start.
and you have to be side by side when you initiate, or not side by side. I think it was a mad power on initiation.
Yeah, so they sort of started a couple of meters back from the first corner, and you'd come out, step the car out, not quite
lead car was on the
drift,
outside, yeah.
And then you'd flick into the first that first corner on the switch, but that would have been really good for cars that were underpowered,
right?
Because you can jump.
Yeah.
So you're versing the likes of Darren Kelly in an 800 plus, north of 800 horsepower car.
Yeah.
You're in a mildly tuned 450 car. I say
mildly tuned 450. What's the R33 guy?
Oh, that's 356 now. And it's back.
Yes.
But yeah, that gave people an opportunity to then jump up next to that car, which made for killer battles. So I actually kind of liked it. It's something different.
It was a cool layout,
and
then it just sort of snaked its way through some fairly wide open sort of sweepers.
Yeah.
There was no
the one corner. I think it was not the last one. I can't remember exactly which one it was, but the way when they come around, they made you cut this inside clip, but it had a bowl.
Right.
So you'd fall into the bowl, and if you weren't careful with too much grip, you'd end up sitting mid-track.
Yep.
So they had to dip into the bowl and then push out wide.
Yep.
And some people were doing it, some people weren't. But, if you're in a car with a lot of grip, you kind of have to go, oh, I've got to let it slide out a little bit further and then carry on.
Yeah.
So, but it was interesting.
Massive smoke show from a lot. Like I looked at it and I'm just wondering how these people can navigate through the smoke. I think we made the comment while we were watching. It gets to a point where it's got to be muscle memory. You almost you blanket it in smoke. You count 1, 2, 3. All right, tip it in.
Yeah, and then it's like I can hear something.
Yeah,
is that my car? That car? No, turn here.
Yeah. Hats off. Like some of those chase runs, they looked tough. Yeah, and then there were others where they were in the pocket and it just out of the smoke. It was perfect.
Yeah, and they were on the line, and once you can get into that sweet spot, you can go up against anyone with any amount of power that can throw fog out of tyres. Like it's nobody's business.
Yeah,
if you can sit close enough, you're good.
Yeah. Well, these were the results from D1NZ's grand finale round. Check it out. So, we've just seen Cole Armstrong in the G35, third place. Adam Davies in the Rotor 180SX in second, and Darren Kelly in New Zealand Nissan
backed.
Yeah, the R35. It was a mad run to get to that point. Mm-hmm. It was huge.
The interesting thing to note is you had the Mimico boys, which is Adam Davies and Dave Stedman.
That was brutal.
And almost took his teammate out of the competition.
Well, dude, I mean, we saw the S14 of Stedman get completely yard sailed.
Yeah. Like
there was just bits flying off the thing left, right, centre. It was mad. That happened in the second part of the battle between Davies and Stedman.
Yep.
And, I mean, Stedman... Yeah, just ow.
Yeah, that's all you could say is it looked horrible, but then you had another team battle with Cole Armstrong, Darren Kelly.
Yeah,
you had those two go together, and they were just again, Cole made the mistake in the chase.
Yeah,
he was on the last turn. He threw a bit too much angle chasing Darren. I think he was expecting Darren to be a bit further ahead than what he was. So threw in, slowed up a bit too much, and then just try to stick with him, but just couldn't keep up. But you could see the between teammates, you could see the live feed from in the car was just like whoa, smacking roofs and all sorts. It was killer.
Yeah, they definitely put on a show. It was really, really cool. The layout, while being conventional, was still exciting.
Yeah.
Like, the amounts of smoke pouring off that R35 was just massive.
Looked like half a car.
It was huge.
Yeah.
Rotors in drifting. I mean, Mad Mike, he's in a world of his fucking own. He's
got a Lambo now.
A man apart. Yeah, I'm waiting to hear more information.
Yeah.
You probably know a bit more about that than I do. I've got to go and do some research on that. But there's not too many of them at a national level comp.
Yeah.
Like comp level, is there?
So originally you had on a comp level was literally his name just escapes me now. He was in the States, pretty much the same build spec as Mad Mike, but
Right.
RX-8.
Yeah.
And I think he was a Kiwi that lived in America. Mm-hmm. And yeah, ran rotors in FD.
Yeah.
He doesn't. I don't think he runs them anymore.
Yeah.
But yeah. Then now you got Mad Mike and then Dave
Yeah.
Steedman. It's pretty much the only sort of well known
that I know
rotors.
of. And I don't know an awful lot of them.
Carl Thompson again. He ran. I think he campaigned a GS 300.
Yeah.
Lexus with a 26B in it at one point.
That's mad.
Yeah, so that would
have been off its head.
That was mental. It was like 800 horsepower NA.
Crazy. Yeah.
Like no turbos, nothing, made stupid
Far
power.
out.
But yeah, that ran for a little bit. I think he ran that for one season, but now he's got a NASCAR powered S15.
As you do.
As you do. Just,
As you do.
Just going to put a NASCAR motor
Yeah,
in.
why the hell not?
I need the power.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's other than that for rotors, I mean, hats off to him. He's Adam Davies has kept that thing alive for as long as he has.
Yeah. So obviously, unfortunate contact there between Steadman and Davies that kind of set up the battle between the 180 and the R35.
Yep. Yeah.
That went largely how a few people expected.
Yeah.
That R35 just got away.
It's
gone.
But when you look at the size of that car compared to the
180,
it was like a bus next to a big bloody digger.
Yeah.
It's just like, what the hell?
Yeah, it was massive.
I think it was enormous. And and that car of Darren Kelly's has been faultless all season.
All season.
And it's been fast. Like,
Yeah.
It's always been quick. I think he's podiumed a few times.
What power plants he got in that thing?
It's RB. So
yeah.
I think
it's RB, but it's massively overboard, isn't it?
RB 34.
How do you add 6? How do you, no, wait. What are we talking? It would have started as a 25 or?
Well, no, it's a 30 block.
It's a 30.
But yeah, so I don't know if people would have recalled. Again, I'll try and see if I can find it for you. But in one of his rounds, he tore cylinder 6 off the block from the cylinder 5.
Oh, okay. Are they slightly Siamese or?
No. Just it just exploded and tore it apart. That was the season before this or the one before that. But yeah, he had a catastrophic failure with it.
Yeah.
So I think they've put more time, money, and effort into this now to build this.
You gotta love having a massive sponsor like
mate,
Nissan.
It's like Mad Mike with
Factory
Mazda.
backed.
Hey bro, I need center plates. I'm building another 26 for one of my crazy cars.
Yeah,
cool.
I need an OEM rotor.
Yeah, we'll have it to you in 2 weeks. No worries. Like, it's been stamped.
Let us go out and smelt the iron ore so that we can cast you a new one.
It will be there in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And it's like with being backed by Nissan as well. It's, the one thing I don't know if people follow much of Nissan's heritage in motor racing, but the colours he had on the car was to celebrate the GDR.
Yeah.
So I think it was the GDR, 50 years for GDR.
Yeah.
So you'll see there's they've got a YouTube channel, Darren Kelly Drift, but it's him and Cole.
Yeah.
They can't think of a name for it yet, but yeah, so they did a drift like biology, and you can see the whole livery going on and that sort of thing for the car. Yeah. They give you a backstory for it, but
mad.
Yeah, it's killer.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, that. What can I say? I mean, he drove as well as he's been driving all season.
Yeah. Dan Mackey, Aussie judge, went over again. There was actually an interesting discussion between himself and Cole Armstrong, who was also judging, I think, their Pro 2 division with Mackey.
Yep.
As well.
And Cole, the funny you bring that up because I was shocked the fact that Cole called Mackey out.
Yeah, and
Dan was just
I think Dan had the answers. What was it about again?
It was about the
D-cell zone or something.
With I think with D-cells and stuff. It was, by the way Dan handled that.
Left foot braking.
Yes.
Yeah, it was about left foot braking.
Yeah.
And slowing up the battle.
Yeah.
But,
and the
there's
way he
a
answered
difference.
It was, I'm sitting there and I'm just like, my jaw hit the desk. I was like, you can't answer that any better.
Yeah, I think the basic premise was that they didn't want to see left foot braking outside of D-cell zones. It's okay in D-cell zones because it's a D-cell zone. You're supposed to be slowing down.
Yeah.
You're supposed to be setting yourself up.
Yeah.
But mid-drift, left foot braking to either throw off or adjust.
I think it was to settle. So the idea behind it, like I do it occasionally. I'm not in any way saying I'm any good to do it, but I find myself doing it occasionally, and it does help. So like if you've overcompensated on the wheel,
if you've cooked it,
and you don't want a wise fab,
yeah.
Little dig.
We get no digs.
If you don't want to end up, going to full lock and slowing up, you can sort of try and wind out a bit of lock, dab the brakes, or get on the brakes a bit to put that weight back over the front wheels.
Yeah.
And it just settles the car's behaviour a bit quicker.
Yeah.
Which gives you a little bit more sort of micromanagement with mid.
Yeah, okay.
Mid-entry,
It opens up a little bit more angle.
Yeah.
It washes off a little bit of speed, but that's the thing, is that it's the washing off of speed that can affect. So let's say your chase driver's committed and they've set themselves, and all of a sudden you've changed the game on them.
Yeah.
As lead car, it's your responsibility to set a chaseable line.
Yeah.
It's your responsibility to set yourself up so that you're stable, committed, and just, I guess, being in a relationship. But yeah,
with that as well is, I think I do recall one of the arguments Cole was having was doing it in the chase, left foot braking. I mean, I don't see an issue with it myself because...
No, I see it more as a lead car
issue. If I got 800 horsepower and I'm versing 150 horsepower Corolla, I'm going to have to slow my car down. I can't...
No. No, I think you have to drive your car. You have to drive that qualifying line, and do what you can. If the other car is slow, that's a them problem. All right,
except for when you're pile driving their door because they can't move fast
if you're
enough.
Okay, sorry, sorry, I'm thinking from the lead position. Yeah,
so when you're in the chase, you tuck up.
Yeah,
you will see, and that's when you can tell the lead car's a bit slower as well.
Yeah,
is if they're on the left foot brake or left foot braking to settle behind them.
Yeah.
Then the lead cars are a little bit slower than the chase cars. So
yeah.
But definitely that's definitely something I'd recommend going to have a look at as well. Is have a look at that chat the way Dan
try and find it. I think it was at the end of qualifying.
Yeah.
End of the qualifying day. So the Saturday.
Yeah. The other
which is cool.
The other point that you brought up as well that you mentioned is, and I mean we noticed on the live stream, is Dan actually got in the car with people.
Yeah, I brought this up to
awesome.
a few WA drivers and said, how much feedback do you seek from the judges? And they're like, oh, we're always asking questions. I'm like, okay, but is it face-to-face? And with regards to Drift West, I feel like D1WA running on the infield have got a little bit of a better time because you walk you get out of your pit bay, go up the steps, talk to the judge. The judge points at parts of the track that he can see right in front of him and tells him, you need to be wider there, you need to be faster here, you need to slow up and transition here, do these things. Whereas main track comp, it's difficult because the judges are not in a central position. The judges are not easily accessible.
Yeah.
And whatnot. But there needs to be a way that we can get around that, I think, because what Dan Mackey was actually doing is he was jumping into going for passenger rides with drivers who were seeking feedback and telling them what they needed to do. And there's no better way to receive feedback than in the car.
Like that to me, to do that as a judge, if a judge did that, with
during
me
practice or something,
during practice, oh man, it would blow my mind because not only for them but for yourself is they can look at it and go, oh, hang on, there's some areas here that we've got to focus on that we don't get to see in the judging tower. But then as a driver, we can also go, well, how was that? Was that good? Was that bad? Yeah,
I think this is more weighted to the driver's benefit.
It's definitely to benefit the driver, but it also, for judges that are, I'd say, probably not as experienced as Dan Mackey would be, is more, if you're a little unsure, if like, say D1WA for the infield layouts and that sort of thing, and even potentially Drift West with some, if they put a clipping point in a certain position. We've seen that where they've had to adjust it in practice to make it suit, where if a judge jumped in a car with someone that they know can run majority of lines that are thrown at them, they jump in, they hit the line, we're happy with the line you just ran. The spectators or spotters saw the run. It'll open up that feedback avenue a little bit more. Yeah,
I think it's an avenue that we can that should be developed. Not that it's going to or that it needs to necessarily, because I mean we're getting by, but I just put it out there to a few of the drivers. I'm like, yeah, how much do you talk to the judges about feedback so you can change your style and give them what they want? Because there's been a massive emphasis on trying to follow the judges' decisions or judges' requests and desires on what line, length, speed, angle, that kind of thing. So yeah, I feel like a message doesn't quite, like a Facebook message doesn't quite convey the same value that you can get from that feedback.
Yeah, definitely.
And it's tough for drivers. Don't get me wrong. They're down in the infield. They're in the pits, and we're doing a turn 6 layout, or a short course layout, or something. Which, for those of you that aren't familiar with Barbagallo Raceway, it's what is it? It's like 400 meters away.
Yeah,
better part of half a k.
Yeah,
almost
easily.
It's a long way away.
Yeah, no, it's a good.
And
you've got to
get out. You've got to get out of the infield and through a spectator area and park your car and all that kind of stuff. So it's difficult. It's not feasible, especially with a one-day event like what we see mainly here on the West Coast. One-day events. If it's a 2-day event and you've got half a day of practice, different story.
That would be huge.
I think that would definitely be something that we can recommend or suggest. Just to fold it up on a note, stick it in the suggestion box.
Yeah,
yeah.
But yeah, it's having it to, and I think that's why a lot of drift orientated events are running across 2 days.
Yeah,
just purely because from a driver's experience, it's better. But then also from spectators, they can come on the day, but then you got to couple it with the likes of, you got Jap Fest, that sort of thing that they use in Ireland.
Yeah.
Have a show and shine and that sort of thing. You want to tie it in with all that.
The one thing that I wasn't necessarily too impressed about, and it looked like it was just an unfortunate issue, was the audio quality on the D1NZ stream. That was tough.
Yeah.
There's room for improvement there. So that was characterised by what we call hot mics, mics that are turned up so high. I wonder if I can actually do it.
No.
Mics that are actually turned up so high that it's just all distorting like that. Like, even though I'm not talking any louder, but it's just not pleasant.
He's playing with the knobs.
I'm good at that. Professional knob twiddler. Just no one pays me.
Yeah, you say, it's poor Steve the Moldy was
Steve the Moldy.
Steve the Moldy was let down a bit. Enough. I think it was actually Oversteer TV or the crew that runs Oversteer, the YouTube channel.
I'm not pointing fingers.
No. I'm just so Steve. Just as a bit of backstory, I think Steve and I forget his name, but they both ran Oversteer.
His co-host.
Yeah, so his co-host used to be with him.
Yeah.
But his co-host actually took a step back and is now focusing on full production.
Which a show like that needs. I mean, we'll go to somewhere like High Tech Oils and we'll actually have, of course, you've got your individual camera operators.
Yep.
But then you'll have 2 or 3 people. Usually there's 2 people in the bus.
Yep.
1 person running comms.
Yeah.
So you'll have 1 person actually individually switching between each camera. You'll have another person who's running things like replays, graphics,
So this is
highlights, stuff like that.
The guy that used to, I'm sorry, I always forget his name, but who used to co-cast with Steve on the D1NZ.
Yeah.
He's moved into that kind of role where he directs the replay guy, and he directs. So he's pretty much the producer.
He is. He's a producer director. Yeah.
Yep.
That's the case. I mean, it might have been something as simple as a knob that just didn't get looked at. But I think I've found with watching YouTube content and watching streams and stuff like that, you'll be okay watching a lesser video quality.
Yeah.
But as soon as your audio is low quality,
you turn it off.
A lot of people will tune out quicker and they'll click off and they'll go to something else.
Yep.
Which is why we have this wonderful system that we have now, which hopefully has crispy, clean audio. And those times where I'm tearing my hair out trying to make stuff work, hopefully it doesn't happen again. And I get to keep what hair I have.
Well, hence why he wears
I wear the hats.
The hats.
All the time.
But no, it's,
And the pants too.
Props to the audio, not going to lie.
It sounds good. We'll see how it sounds later on. But yeah, that was the only drawback. I love what Steve and the gang have to say. I like the way that they will integrate the judges into what they're doing.
Yep. And the drivers as well.
And yeah, I think it's good. I think it's great. So yeah, we really went on a deep dive with drifting about a week ago, didn't we? We watched all 3 international live streams, and we finished it up with FD.
Yeah, Formula Drift Orlando.
FD was great.
Yeah.
FD was awesome.
Yeah, I can't fault them. I mean, other than the fact that they had an audio issue at the end as well.
Yeah, that I don't know what happened. It's almost like the audio got switched off, and all of a sudden it just sounded like this, and like it sounded like we had the ambient mic.
Yeah,
we had the ambient mics, but we didn't actually have the commentators' mics, so
you could hear them
the
through
last
the stadium.
Battle.
Yeah. The whole of the last
Everything was great right up until the last. It was so good that Jared Deander was actually blowing speakers apart. He was getting so into it and getting excited.
Yeah, it was killer, and it's FD was a spectacle. I'm not gonna lie, that was something else to watch.
It was off its head. What do you think of the layout? We've led with the layout for pretty much all of these.
I like
events.
that layout. That OSW layout. I mean, that big
Orlando
bank,
Speed World.
Yep, that big bank, man, coming off that bump. Like,
it's harsh, isn't it? Some cars, especially the RTR Mustangs, big showers of sparks each time.
Yep. I mean, you watch some in-car footage with Adam LZ, because he's competed in Formula 2, obviously.
Yeah.
Pro 2.
Pro 2, yeah.
Yeah, and you watch him come off that bank. If you're not in the right position, you do that.
We found this with Calder Park as well, with high tech.
Yeah.
Not to the extent, and we didn't run at night, so we didn't get to see any sparks if there were any. But there was a way to navigate,
and
it was
perfect.
smooth.
Yeah.
And if it was smooth, you're on the right line. And it was almost like a quantifiable factor of smoothness for a ride, for a drive.
Yeah.
If the lead car didn't bump steer or smash down and look awkward, they were on the right line.
Yeah, and same thing here. I mean, you could see it. It's sort of, they come off, and if they hit the bump, it would completely upset the front geometry of the car.
Yeah.
Like, the wheels would not be, you'd struggle to know where the wheels are. And then just the rest of the run, they're fighting to get back in that pocket to finish that last little bit. But I mean, it's one of those where it's a typical big smoky outside clip, to a small inside clip. But it's the fact that the bank is there, and you've got to have enough to keep you up there, because it wants to just pull you down.
Yeah.
So you've got to stay on the wall, and that's their line is, up high on the wall, as close as you can get. And some cars,
I feel like that's something that relies on side bite.
Yeah.
You need to have a lot of side bite, and there were cars that definitely had it.
Yep.
Like those RTR Mustangs. The amount of grip they had dialed in those things was incredible.
It's on that. It actually, I think Vongen Jr. came unstuck. He was low to start off with, and then that extra side bite just punched him into the side. Who was it? Was it Forsberg? No. So I think this was in practice. So
he actually, by the sounds of it, I think he did it twice.
He went into the wall.
Yeah.
Came off the bank, slid down, and the other car came in and took him out, to the point where he literally had to replace his entire front end.
Yeah, he was running bare, like naked at one stage.
Yeah,
that was weird.
It was a strange sight to see. But yeah, seeing that car picked up with literally nothing left in the front of it.
Yeah,
like no wheels, no
wheel
shocks,
wells,
nothing.
no nothing.
it was crazy.
Yeah.
But.
So your top three looked a little bit like this. So it was a great result there for Odie Bakshi, taking it out over the top of Chris Forsberg and Chelsea Denofa with the RTR Mustang coming in third place. Formula Drift Orlando, the RTR Mustangs, so Chelsea Denofa and Vaughn Gittin Jr. were doing some really weird shit, man.
Yeah.
You saw it more when they were in the chase position.
Yeah.
And the Maximum Driftcast guys, they spoke about this. And I listened to their podcast before I watched the live stream. FD does this really cool thing where they edit out all the downtime and you watch it and it's like one big seamless show. It's awesome. It's cool. And makes it good for people on this side of the planet who have jobs and can't be up at like 2 o'clock in the morning because they have real lives.
Yep.
And they're not in America.
America.
So... these RTR Mustangs, it was the RTR Mustang Shuffle or something. I don't know what it was, but it was just... It looks... And I can only think that it's got something to do with how much side bite these things have got.
Yeah.
They're running Nitto tyres, both of them, I think. Yeah.
Both of them, yeah.
what they'd do, and you'd see it more in the chase position as opposed to the lead, but they'd initiate, they'd be following, and they'd maintain line, they'd maintain angle. None of that would change.
Yeah.
Right? They'd be exactly where they needed to be, maybe just a little bit further back. But then all of a sudden it was like
teleport.
Bam, and they would just fling themselves, try and climb in through the door. Just the proximity would just close up like God knows. It was crazy.
It's epic.
It was really cool to see. It happen a couple of times.
Yeah.
Um,
And when you're not looking for it, you don't actually, you don't notice it. But like you say, when you finally was mentioned and then you were looking for it, it was just like, whoa.
I listened to them talking about it, and I'm just like, what the fuck are they on about?
Yeah.
This doesn't make any sense. Nah, they're talking bullshit.
Yeah.
But then, it's like like they're only using 80% of their grip, and then all of a sudden it gets to a certain point in the drift, and it's like, boom, maximum grip engaged. And all of a sudden, they're climbing through doors.
The one I noticed it on, like probably the time when it clicked for me was Chelsea Denofa chasing. He swapped, so he come off the bank, and hit the bump, and as he switched back the other way, coming off the bump, so you come off from on the bank, drop down, and then you flick back right into a right-hander. Mm-hmm. As he flicks into that right-hander, it was just like, I got a car length. No, I don't. And he was,
on the door.
It was like he was
in the pocket.
He was going to drive over the other car. It was just like, how do you fathom that kind of grip level? Like it's,
it defies the laws of physics. It's crazy. Couple other cool things about that round. The Mr. FPV. Do we work out that's who it is that's doing it? The drone?
Johnny FPV.
Johnny FPV.
I'm pretty sure it was, Johnny FPV. So he's doing all the drone flying for FD.
Which they're using on every single battle.
Yeah.
And it is amazing.
Yeah.
The skill he's got is incredible. The machinery he's using, the way he pilots these drones, he is like, he's an integral part of the experience now. An event without him at the joysticks is not going to be the same.
Yeah, well, it won't be. I mean, the you angles
see
he can
stuff that you just can't, like a fixed camera cannot illuminate.
Long Beach, he pulled in between two cars that were almost touching. He parked right next to them, and he's just like, you can see
he's drifting with him.
You can see Chris Forsberg like working
wrestling the wheel,
and it's just like the whole world slows down. You're just like, what the hell?
Yep.
And
it's interesting too because it gives you an angle inside. So, I mean, with a regular fixed camera, sometimes like the smoke will get in the way.
Yeah.
What's behind the smoke? Who knows?
Yeah.
He will give you a dynamic, so a moving shot that's of what's on the other side of the smoke or in the smoke. It's crazy. It's awesome. It's absolutely love it.
But no, he's I think so I kind of stumbled onto him just randomly. I was
he did something with Formula One, didn't he?
Yeah, so I've got
sent out with Toro Rosso.
Yeah, Toro Rosso. So I got a drone and I was looking at a heap of tutorials on how to use it and some things you can do with it. And then I was like, drone versus F1 car.
Yeah.
Clicked on it, had a look, and it turns out he does the stuff for FD. But then they got him out to do filming for the Red Bull Toro Rosso team.
Yep.
And actually,
so it's like their development team.
Yeah, so racing, like filming this whole F1 car going around the track, and that thing does 100 and some odd k's an hour. The drone.
The drone, yeah.
And you just watch the car, just
just walk away from it.
See ya.
Goodbye. Drift West at their round two. Round two? Yeah.
Yep.
Round two got Matthew. Now, I'm going to apologise in advance, Matthew, because I'm going to murder your last name. I want to say Dix.
Yep.
It's probably wrong. It is wrong. All right. Send me the phonetic spelling.
Yeah.
DIERCX.
Yeah.
Is, I believe, how you spell his last name. There might be a K in there or something.
I think it's Extreme Limit Films is his group, because he's done some stuff for D1 as well over the time. With sort
this
of
race drone stuff is mint. It adds a whole
epic.
nother level to it. Even the stuff, and I'm pretty sure that Australia is hamstrung with the proximity laws and
sadly
populated areas, and you can only fly in certain areas and blah 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 blah.
Yeah, there's so many rules and stuff around it.
Drone stuff is awesome.
Yeah.
Did you see the shots they were using at the V8 supercars?
There
was the Avis drone.
Yep.
And that thing was maybe 80 meters in the air. And what it was doing is it was geolocked to the straight leading down to turn 7. and it was a slow panning shot. This thing was just perfectly in sync with, or not in sync, but perfectly locked to the boundaries of the track, just moving down, and especially when cars were like under a safety car or maybe the GT cars doing a rolling start, you see them come into frame and it's sort of keeping pace with them, and they roll out, and it was just awesome. I love drone shots.
Drone
shots are killer.
Since getting my one, I've got a new appreciation. Like it's having that perspective is and
it's different.
It's definitely something, you know, I'm keen to try and play with an idea with that I've got for using them. I mean, obviously the batteries don't last very long, which is the bad side to them. Yeah. But being able to use them as another
you're flying along,
point,
and then all of a sudden your drone just falls out of the sky.
But they got safety mechanisms unless you're an idiot and bypass them.
Yeah, which have you worked out? Anyway.
No, I don't want to either. I don't want to lose my drone.
FD Orlando, Chelsea Denofa.
Yep.
Any standout thoughts?
He's just a gangster driver. Literally.
Gangster driver.
All
amazing
I can
car.
say is I've always loved the way Chelsea Denofa drives. He's one of my idol drivers. No matter what car he gets put in, he is balls to the wall. Oh, yeah. Literally throwing down, and he's got such a flair. Like him and Forrest Wang are two of the drivers I highly respect for the fact that they don't care what they're in. Like it's the car looks good, but they drive it and they're not scared to break it. Yeah. You know, it's like, what rear end? I'll just put another one on, you know. And they've been like that from when Chelsea Denofa started drifting. Yep. You know, with funding his own builds with the Beamer and stuff. Yeah. So it's been good, but
Chris Forsberg in the Nitrous Energy 370Z.
Here and there, he's kind of. Yeah, I mean, he's a very one of those drivers that are just Yeah. There's nothing really that stands out for me. Yeah, his car's cool. Okay. It's twin anti-lagged V6, Yeah. It's still a 370Z.
Oh, come on. I think it's mint. I like I like the way it looks. I like the way he drives. I like him because he's shaped himself into such a marketable personality. Yeah. And when it comes to entertainment and content, he's king.
I was going to say, him, Chelsea and Vaughn are probably the three drivers on a marketable scale that I would look up to for how to market yourself.
Yeah, okay.
Chris Forsberg, the one being he does it more of a kind of a NASCAR driver type-esque. Mm-hmm.
In what way?
Like, you look at all his photos, it's, like you look at NASCAR drivers, there's photos of them, like there's a smoke in the background and it's a set scene and that sort of thing, and it's everything on his suit and everything's very...
Oh, that's just Larry Chen working his magic. Come on.
But just he out of all the drivers, him, Vaughn and Chelsea are probably the three. Not so much Chelsea Denofa, he's more the goofy guy. Yeah. But Vaughn and Chris Forsberg, they're the two that are, they're the type of guys you'll see at the top of NASCAR. Yeah. On a professionalism scale.
Yeah, righto. And our winner, Odie Butchies.
Wow, you went there.
Oh, Maximum Driftcast can do it. But everyone calls him Butchie. No, Odie...
driving.
Incredible event for him.
Man, the way he drove.
His run in the top 8 was mint. He was with Justin Pollock. Yep. Perfect emulation. He was in the cab with him. Yeah.
It's literally, if it was right-hand drive, he could literally go in and change gears for him. Yeah. How you going?
It was insane.
It's, and it's, he's always been a driver that's always had a little bit of flair about him, but just this seemed to be the next level. Right. His entries, aggressive.
He was right up hard on that wall.
Yeah, literally. He would enter on the wall,
and the whole way.
Yeah, and then glued to the chase car. Yeah. That's the other thing. I mean, we noticed that as well. We sat here and we're like, whoa, what was that? I think it was with Vaughn. It was one of the Mustangs.
One of them, one of the judges went for Vaughn, and the other two. Yeah. Went for Buckley.
And but that initiation that he did onto Vaughn's car was just like, what? And then the RTR shuffle.
Well, they did the side by side comparison, and you saw that Buckley was glued and barely deviated, whereas Vaughn got more. He got closer in terms of proximity, but it was variable.
Yeah. Yeah, it varied a fair bit.
Yeah, so
but no,
which
it
goes
was-
to show there's different ways that these guys judge these things, and that's why there's three.
Yeah, exactly.
That's why there's three of them.
Yep. And I
Yeah.
mean, he other than that, he was just standout. He's stepping the game up this year.
That was a good result.
It's
with him.
he's definitely stepping it up.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, what about hey kitty cat? Are you? Oh,
He's fine.
the cat's kind of like rubbing up.
We're doing this in my lounge room. So yeah, there's
So, but what's your thoughts on the three musketeers, if you want to call them that, with the first, second, third? It's sort of,
everyone was where they should have been.
yeah.
Forsberg, yeah, I think because there was that tail slap incident. Let's talk a little bit about that. Let's talk a little bit about that
Yeah,
because this, for me, it's another venture into social media.
Yeah.
And I actually posted it on our Department of Drift Facebook page after seeing a post from Drift West Judge Adam Monk.
Yeah.
And he was expressing some, shall we say, it was a strong opinion saying that the weight shift had to stop.
Yeah.
Because Orlando banked initiation.
Yeah.
What you were seeing is lead car on the left-hand side, so the outside of the bank,
Yep.
which is a right-hander. And what a lot of guys were doing is, I don't know, would you call it a feint or was it more than a feint or was it a scando?
It was a scando. Without it.
You really think?
Yeah. That was
okay.
a feint is you're not quite drifting.
Yeah.
You're doing the whole flick.
Yeah,
Scando
okay. So
is
it's more of a move over
Yeah.
and then throw into
So it was where what they were doing was
all right. So the scando is you were turning the
started
wheel the
turning
opposite way
tires, yeah.
to what? Yeah, okay. So adding a whole nother move to it.
Yeah.
Well, who was it on? Who was the
James Dean.
Yeah,
So it's James Dean, Chris Forsberg.
Now the way it worked out is that Forsberg threw his car into the scando flick. We're going to call it a scando flick, all right? Because that's what DJ. No, Forsberg initiated.
Yeah.
James Dean wasn't. He was in the way.
Yeah.
Basically,
Literally, it was,
and it was light contact. It didn't necessarily unsettle Forsberg to the point where it threw him off his line.
Yeah.
But what it did do is it effectively ricocheted James Dean down the bank.
Yeah. Which meant he couldn't get
He
back
wasn't.
up to it.
Yeah. Didn't chase.
So
Now, as far as I'm aware, the rule with FD is that the lead car has right of way.
Yep.
In the sense that on the way into the first initiation.
Yeah. And in most cases, that's what it is. As a chase car, you're there to emulate the lead car. You're not there to impede the lead car.
Which was what they sort of deemed
Yeah.
James Dean to have done.
Yeah. When you look at it, there's a clear, distinct line that they have there, and he was actually well over that line. Like James Dean was sort of in the lead car's pocket where he shouldn't have been.
In his lane.
Yeah, effectively.
essentially.
In a drag racing sense, he would have been almost across the middle.
So the problem we have here is that we were not there for the driver briefing.
Yeah.
We don't know what ground rules were laid there because event to event, I know I've seen it in multiple D1WA, Drift West, High Tech Oils events. There's certain ground rules as such, gentlemen's agreements, handshake agreements, that kind of thing, where people have an understanding. Mm-hmm. We don't know what ground rules were laid, but working on what we do know, which is this understanding from Formula D that the lead car has right of way.
Yep.
I put it out to the crowd that what did they think about it, and it was purely just to stimulate discussion about a rule that would spur different opinions.
Yep. And oh boy,
What did we sort of see from that?
It was healthy. I mean, we saw variations with. We had point of views again, input from Mitch. He was over there.
Yeah.
He actually was in an event, not Orlando. He was in Long Beach, but in essence, same sort of thing. It's happened in Long Beach where they've cut across, they've impeded the lead car.
Yeah.
The chase car's lost. But yeah, he's weighed in on it, and it's. To that point, whatever's stipulated in the driver's briefing is what goes. And that's the downside. We don't know what was said in the driver's briefing. So they could have said no scandos or no
Aggressive feints.
aggressive weight shift flicks.
Yeah.
It could be you could do a light feint, where you sort of come to the right a little bit and then flick onto the wall. But yeah, and the other thing to add, Chris Forsberg was doing that consistently. Even, I mean,
I think a lot of the drivers were.
yeah. And I mean, I even noted it just briefly. I wasn't even looking for it, and I still said, "Oh, he's been quite consistent on the entry with the way the position where he's entering, and how he's shifting the weight of the car to then throw it on the wall."
Yeah.
So it's but we had I think that.
Well, it's the thing. I mean,
discussion.
These guys in FD, they've all got spotters. Mm-hmm. At least one spotter per car, or maybe someone feeding info to the spotter.
Yeah.
James's spotters would have been seeing, or should have been seeing, Forsberg doing that kind of entry all day.
Yeah.
We went back and we watched a few of the entries, and they were carbon copies.
Yep. 100%.
That entry was the same.
Yeah.
So not that the onus falls on them, but you have to wonder if they fed that info to him, or if they instructed him in that sense. I mean, there's a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes that we don't know about, and that is something that I need to stress, is that, we're not privy to all the information. We can still talk about it. There's nothing wrong with talking about it, and I feel that shutting down discussion in that sense, because we weren't at the driver's briefing, isn't necessarily the course of action. There's nothing wrong with talking about it.
Yeah, 100%.
There's nothing wrong with hypothesizing. It's when you start pointing fingers and saying, this is a shit move.
Yeah. I mean, the one thing I can't recall, I'm trying to recall now whether it was if James had come up against Chris Forsberg in practice.
Don't know.
That's the other thing.
Don't know.
It's if he came up, I didn't watch far back enough of far enough on the live stream to see if he did come up against him in practice. It's just had he done, he may have been a bit more prepared for it, but it was and this is the nature of drifting, is things can happen in such an instant like that, and it's gone, and that's what happened. Lapse of concentration cost him it. Simple. And it's just, even I reckon James would have been in the car and would have gone, I've lost that. Straight up.
Man, all right. We covered a lot.
Yeah, we did.
Didn't we?
It was, a lot of action to do with the international stuff, especially, I mean, being able to do that.
After watching 3 live streams, and we were only watching the top 4.
Yeah.
It was massive.
It was
still
mammoth.
Big. It was a big night. It was a good night.
Yeah, it was.
We should do, I don't know when the stars are going to align, that we have
another
3 events, that. 3 events worth of recaps to go over, but we should do like a Department of Drift party.
I reckon.
Mad. We'll get a projector and
get it right around.
Screen. Not here. Hell no. No one wants to trek to Armadale. Hell no.
I'm sure they wouldn't mind.
No.
They can come to Ellen Hood.
Yeesh. No one wants to go there either.
We need middle ground.
Well, that pretty much wraps us up, Deej. We are never adverse to people sliding into our DMs, so get onto our socials. Facebook, find us at Department of Drift. We also have Instagram. Make sure you follow us there. DJ is going to be posting some photos.
Yes, I will get back into it.
Yeah, so that's right.
I will, So
I do the podcast editing. He does the photos.
I do the photos and the other bits and pieces. So apologies for that being dead. That's my fault. Full blame here.
It's terrible.
Full blame.
We'll both be what's the word? We'll both be putting stuff out onto the Facebooks. So make sure you get onto that. Like it, follow it, share it, please. Share it.
Share the crap out of it. Also, if there's something that you think we should discuss, or you want to discuss
topics of debate.
Yep. Chuck it up on Facebook. Literally share it. Tag us in it, if we're happy to have a chat about it.
Yeah, even if
just
tag us in stuff so we can see it.
Yeah,
it'd be great.
Yeah, awesome.
So,
from us here, it's sort of the other medium to sort of please get into is our emails, because we sadly don't get any. We only get people chasing money as you do. So the address for that's info.deptofdrift@gmail.com. The other thing is YouTube. Make sure you hit the bell icon, which will be somewhere down there or down there. So hit the bell icon, because if you don't, you'll never get notified, thanks to YouTube changing the way they do things. So,
YouTube schmoochube.
Yeah. And
we know how to beat it.
Podbean.
Yes, so we actually have a Podbean account, which gets the audio-only versions. We will be getting into iTunes once I believe we have 5 or 6 successful episodes
that J-Mac's happy with.
Look, I do apologise for our hiatus. It was a little bit more extended than I was thinking it was going to be, but we are back, ladies and gentlemen. Department of Drift is back open for business. So we will catch you next time, whether it's at the track or around it. Hopefully you guys are staying safe out there, and just remember, keep it off the streets. We'll catch you soon.